So we've got some fairly fresh buffalo dung here, which is from yesterday evening, I'd imagine sort of early evening up to about midnight. So it's a big herd. There's quite a lot of evidence they were in here last night as a big group. So this is a very likely spot. And these poachers across the river, they watch where the herds are drinking on a daily basis, and they come ahead of them and they insert their snares in front of them. So we very likely could bump into something in front here. There's a good possibility of it. So we'll just have to keep our eyes open.
This area here, we need to fan out about 50-60 meters and then sweep through. This is a good buffalo corridor. They come down here to the water to drink, so we fan out here. Guaranteed we're going to find 4 or 5 snares in here.
Okay. Look at this, there's water, there's grass, there's shade, there's everything a buffalo would want right here. So it makes sense to put, this is a very clever spot to put a snare. And that's why it's obviously a very successful spot. That's why it keeps on being used.
Over the last 10 years, I must have, on this spot, taken off over 100 snares, eh? Last 10 years. And actually, my way of thinking is we should come out with an axe and chop this tree out.
Right, put him through there. And there you go, that's a huge snare. I mean, that you could catch anything with. So this snare that you've discovered here is on a very big buffalo path. As you can see, it's close to the water, it's coming in. The interesting thing is here, and I've seen it in some areas to the south of us, where the buffalo are so poached from wire that they develop a sense of smell of that wire. And I've actually seen it where they walk down a path and then the tracks will go around the snare. They've smelled that wire. So what this poacher's done, he's taken some buffalo dung here, and you can see it's still a little bit fresh, so this is not long ago, and he's actually smeared it along the entirety of that snare. You can see there, to disguise the scent on that wire, so they don't smell it and avoid the snare. So this is very fresh too. You can see it's still green on what he's tied with here. So yeah, well done, good find.
Good find, exceptional. But also you see what they've done is this pathway here, they've blocked this pathway off with the fallen tree.
This tree's all been
smashed. So buffalo can't come
down.
here, they must go through here. So they're creating a wall. And interesting enough, in this area, if you notice, we haven't seen any walls really. So it just shows how plentiful the game is here, and they're actually putting their snares out ad hoc. Instead of finding in a wall of 60 snares, you're finding one here, one there, one, you know, so it's all over the place, randomly put. This shows how much wildlife's here and how long the river system is, where we're trying to just check and check and check, and it makes life very difficult without adequate numbers of boots on the ground. Yeah. It's important to have a lot more people out here looking after this.
It's a numbers game. You've got to have lots of people. And that's got before we even...
And you see the thing here is that you've got all that nylon in the middle there, okay, and that there, even trying to cut that with bolt cutters is a near on impossible task. Really, really difficult, really strong. So an animal has no chance of getting through here whatsoever. As we remove these snares, I can't help but think one of the big things that we have to have in Africa, we've got to have people. It doesn't matter what funding can come. Funding means nothing unless you can have boots on the ground. So I know there's a lot of critics out there in the wider world saying that we shouldn't encroach in wild spaces, we shouldn't have hunting. These areas require funding to begin with, and then they require boots on the ground. And whether we like it or not, when you've got hunters moving through these vast areas where nobody else wants to go, they are the ones removing these snares and these traps that are killing off our wildlife. And we really need to focus in on the good that a lot of our hunters do day in and day out. The unsung heroes in many instances, they never go and talk about themselves and explain the good that they're doing. And perhaps that's what they should do. In a wild area such as we are now, you can see it for yourselves. We've removed, I don't know how many snares this morning, 30, 40, 50 snares already. It's not even a full day. You know, we need more people on the ground. And if you're not going to have photographics coming through areas like this, we need hunters. And so I would urge those critics out there just to have a look at the good that hunting is doing, the funding that it brings in, the boots on the ground that it's bringing in, and making sure that our wild spaces are conserved.
A lot of these areas are inaccessible to the photographic market, and so these guys are actually, whilst they're tracking a buffalo or following something, they're actually doing it without even thinking about it. They see a snare, they're just cutting it off. If they see tracks, they're reporting. So that they're doing it without even thinking about it. It just becomes an automatic thing. So yeah, absolutely.
It's very, very important to get that and grasp that as a concept. These guys are out here. It's not, our hunters in Zimbabwe, we actually refer to them as hunting guides. They're actually guides first and foremost. And in fact, yeah, they carry a photographic guide's license as well as a hunting guide's license. And they are critical to what we do here in Zimbabwe and critical to the long-term protection of our wild spaces. They certainly are. Yeah, move it.